After 12 hours of bandaging people up, I stepped out of my car with sore legs and a throbbing body. The hospital was in utter disarray today, with staff rushing from one patient to another as they gasped for air. Overbooked calendars and the ever-present buzz of tension settled into my bones like an old unpleasant visitor. But none of that compared to what I felt when I stepped onto my front porch. The second I reached for the door handle, something tumbled off. The peace and quiet that usually accompanied my return from a hard workday were missing. My home, the one place where I could finally lower my defenses, suddenly felt hostile. And then I saw it. The blinking red light on the security camera, the same one I had installed, the one that was supposed to keep intruders out. Now, it glared at me like an eye turned against its owner. A second later, my mother-in-law's voice crackled through the doorbell speaker, dripping with arrogant satisfaction. "Your wife doesn't want you here anymore." Like splinters on a blackboard, Victoria's voice crept into my ears. "I've changed the locks. You should go find another place." I froze. Not out of shock, but because I had anticipated this for months. Fear had nothing to do with it. I was fully aware of my adversary. I hesitated, not because I doubted myself, but because I was waiting for the right moment to spring my trap. Victoria had just stepped into it, and she had no idea. I sighed, gently, rolling my shoulders back. I forced my voice to sound less exhausted, and, with an air of composure that I knew would enrage her, I grinned at the camera. "All right." Victoria wanted an explosion, a reaction. She wanted me to bang on the door like some desperate, abandoned fool while she reveled in my pain. But I wasn't about to give her that gratification. Instead, I let my gaze drift to the 3 cardboard boxes lined neatly outside the entrance, my possessions tossed out like I was some uninvited guest. My garments spilled out of the top one in a crumpled mess. My work shoes, the ones I placed by the door every night, had been dumped in without care, one of them even missing a shoelace. Sloppy work, Victoria. I took a step closer and lightly kicked the side of the top box. A few items spilled out. A framed picture of me and Olivia on our wedding day. The glass was smashed right over my face. A cheap, purposeful act. Victoria wasn't just trying to kick me out. She was trying to erase me. But she had no idea who she was dealing with. I leaned against the porch railing, crossing my arms, my focus locked on the camera. "Where's Olivia?" I asked, keeping my tone light, almost amused. Victoria scoffed. The faint sound of her nails tapping against something, probably the armrest of my couch, filtered through the speaker. "Inside," she purred, dragging out the words like she was talking to a child. "She's staying with us while she processes everything. She finally saw the truth, Lucas. This mansion belongs to our family, and you were never good enough for her." Ah, there it was. Victoria had always played queen of the castle, treating Olivia like her little princess, desperate to rescue her from my supposed unworthiness. From the very beginning, she had tried to break us. First, it was little sarcastic. Comments at family gatherings, backhanded compliments, subtle tests to see if I would snap. Okay, you're a doctor, that's impressive, I suppose. But really, how can Olivia ever get the attention she deserves when you work such long hours? You should have seen her old boyfriends, Lucas. So gallant, so loyal. Such a shame she had to settle. And when those digs didn't work, she grew bolder, planting seeds of doubt in Olivia's mind, twisting every tiny issue into a catastrophe. "Lucas, work's too much. Don't you ever feel lonely? A man should prioritize his wife over his job, darling. Don't you think? Are you really happy, Olivia? Or do you just believe you are?" I knew what she was doing, and I played along. Because if Victoria was predictable, she was also controllable. And tonight, she had just proven me right. I pulled out my phone, tapping the screen casually. "I'll just call Olivia." "Oh, Lucas." Victoria sighed dramatically. "She's changed her number. Fresh start and all that. I chuckled. Daring, even for her. Fresh start? I echoed, tilting my head. You sure about that? There was a pause, just a flicker of hesitation. Wonderful. She expected anger, mayhem, a messy fight. Instead, I let the silence stretch between us, letting her feel the weight of my patience. Then, I spoke again. Dear Victoria, I'm going to give you one chance to open this door and tell me what's really going on. Because right now, you're committing multiple offenses and I don't think you want to start naming them. Another pause. This time longer. Offenses? She scoffed, but her voice wasn't as powerful as before. This is Olivia's house, too. She can toss you out if she wants. I laughed, slow and deliberate. She had spent years learning the art of control, twisting, manipulating, orchestrating things to her advantage. She moved the people in her life like pieces on a chessboard. But this time, she had lost. Ryan didn't speak when we hopped into the car. He started the motor, his hands gripping the wheel firmly, his jaw clenched like he was struggling to hold back an outpouring of emotions. I grabbed the folder of evidence from my jacket and flipped through the pages again, my fingertips, running over Victoria's precise handwriting. Every note, every prepared lie, every intentional step she had taken to break Olivia down and turn her into something lesser, something more manageable. Encouraged separation talk. Increased perception that Lucas is neglectful. Olivia signed power of attorney paperwork today. Did not question it. Upped dosage slightly. Enough to keep her obedient. I inhaled sharply, my fingers clenching around the page. Ryan's voice finally shattered the silence. I knew she was taunting Lucas. But this? Drugging her own daughter? He shook his head, his voice filled with amazement. What the heck was her endgame? I peered out the window. The city, lights flickering past in the distance. She wanted Olivia to be reliant on her, to believe she couldn't exist without her. Ryan scoffed. Why? She already controlled everything Olivia did. Why go this far? I glanced down at the power of attorney document. And then it clicked. My breath stilled. It wasn't just about control. It was about money. Victoria hadn't simply been manipulating Olivia. She had been plotting to seize everything Olivia owned, including my house. My fingers curled around the page, my mind racing. She wasn't just trying to break us up. She was trying to make Olivia legally dependent on her so she could assume full financial control. Ryan's eyes widened as he connected the dots. Wait, you think she was intending to steal everything Olivia has? Completely? Ryan exhaled sharply, gripping the wheel tighter. And the worst part? Olivia wouldn't have even known. Not in the state her mom put her in. I turned to him, my voice steady. That's why she booted me out. She thought she was in the clear. She thought she had won. Ryan breathed sharply, putting a hand across his face. What do we do now? I glanced at my phone. First, we make sure Olivia is safe. Then we make sure Victoria never gets near her again. Victoria's web of lies by. The time we got to the hospital, Olivia had been moved to a private room. The nurses had cleaned her up, given her fluids, monitored her vitals. The color had returned to her cheeks, but her expression remained far away, like she was trying to piece together where she was. I sat next to her, holding her hand softly. Olivia, I murmured. Her eyelids fluttered open. For a second, she just blinked at me, bewilderment flickering across her face. Then awareness flashed, and she let out a short, quivering breath. Lucas. Her voice was husky. What happened? I clasped her hand. You were drugged, Liv. For weeks. It was Victoria. Her brows furrowed, her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to protest. Then I saw the exact moment the memories hit her. The way she stiffened. The way her fingers tightened against the covers. Her breath quickened. The tea, she murmured, her eyes wide. She always made me tea. I nodded. She laced it with lorazepam. A small, broken sound escaped her lips. I assumed I was just exhausted. That maybe I was overthinking things. She kept telling me I was. That I was hallucinating it. I breathed, getting closer. She made you assume you were losing control, Liv, because she needed you to doubt yourself. Tears welled in her eyes. And you were standing in front of me, and I cupped her face gently. This isn't your fault. She let out a quivering breath, her fingers tightening around mine. I let her get in my head. No, I corrected. She shoved her way in. A tear trickled down her face, and I wiped it away with my fingertip. She wanted to separate us, Olivia, because she needed full control over you. Her gaze flicked to the documents on the table, and when she spotted her own signature on the power of attorney document, her entire body tensed. Oh my God. Her breath hitched. I don't remember signing that. She made sure you wouldn't. Her fingers trembled as she touched the document, her gaze shifting back to me. She tried to take everything from me. I nodded. But she failed. She swallowed hard, her eyes gleaming with a mix of anguish and fury. Then, softly, I want to press charges. I nodded, already reaching for my phone. The Breaking Point Victoria was arrested the next morning. I wasn't there when they took her. But Ryan was. He saw it all. The two policemen knocking on her door. The way she answered in her silk robe, smiling as if nothing was wrong. The way her smile faded when they read her the charges. Coercion, illicit drugging, attempted financial exploitation.